When you don't live with intent, you live by default. Life has a way of filling empty space. If you do not decide how you want to spend your time, someone else will. If you do not choose your priorities, distractions will choose them for you. If you do not define your values, circumstances will begin defining them instead. Most people do not wake up one morning and decide to live a life that feels unfulfilled. It happens much more quietly than that. One day becomes another. Habits become routines. Routines become years. And before they know it, they realize they have been reacting to life instead of creating it. The truth is, if you do not live with intent, you will eventually live by default. And there is a profound difference between the two. Life does not drift toward your dreams. Many of us assume that if we work hard and stay busy, things will naturally fall into place. Sometimes they do. But busyness is not the same as purpose. Activity is not the same as progress. You can spend years climbing a ladder only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. Intent asks a different question. Not, am I busy? But, am I building the life I actually want? Default is comfortable. There is a reason so many people live by default. It requires very little effort. You follow the routine, respond to the emails, pay the bills, repeat yesterday. There is nothing inherently wrong with routine. The danger comes when routine quietly replaces intention. When days become automatic, when choices become unconscious, when life becomes something happening to you instead of something you are actively creating. Intent begins with a single question. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is surprisingly simple. What am I trying to create? Not just today, in your relationships, in your work, in your health, in your mindset, in your life. Without intention, we often focus only on what is urgent. With intention, we begin focusing on what is meaningful. That shift changes everything. The small choices shape the big life. People often believe transformation happens through dramatic moments. More often, it happens through ordinary decisions. The conversation you chose to have, the boundary you decide to set, the book you decide to read, the walk you decide to take. The person you decide to become, one habit at a time. Intent is rarely loud. It quietly accumulates until one day your life looks completely different because your choices became consistent. Distraction loves a life without direction. When you are not clear about where you are going, almost anything can pull you off course. Other people's priorities, social media, comparison, obligations, fear, urgency. Without intention, life becomes reactive. You spend your days responding instead of deciding. And while reaction may keep you busy, It rarely moves you closer to the life you actually want. You cannot prioritize everything. One of the greatest myths of modern life is that we can do it all. We cannot. Every yes is also a no. Every commitment requires a sacrifice. The question is whether those sacrifices are intentional. Living with intent means deciding what deserves your time before the world decides for you. Because your attention is one of the most valuable resources. Spend it carefully. Your values should make your decisions. Many people make decisions based on convenience or fear or expectations. Intentional living asks something different. Does this align with my values? Does this move me closer to the person I want to become? Does this reflect what matters most to me? When your values guide your choices, your life begins to feel more coherent, more peaceful, more authentic, because your actions and your priorities finally match. A life of intention is not a life of perfection. Living intentionally does not mean getting everything right. It does not mean every day goes according to plan. It does not mean you never change your mind. It simply means you stop living on autopilot. You become more aware of your choices, more conscious of your direction, more willing to pause before saying yes to things that pull you away from what matters. Intent is not perfection. It is awareness in action. Your future is built by today's decisions. The life you hope to have someday is not built someday. It is built today in conversations you have, the habits you repeat, the boundaries you maintain, the courage you practice, the values you honor. Small choices become patterns. Patterns become lifestyles. Lifestyles become futures. That is why today's decisions matter so much. Choose your life before life chooses it for you. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the courage to become intentional, to stop drifting, to stop reacting, to stop assuming things will somehow work themselves out. Decide what matters, protect what matters, build around what matters. Because if you do not choose the direction of your life, circumstances will gladly choose it for you. And there is a significant difference between arriving somewhere by design and arriving there by accident. Because when you don't live with intent, you live by default. The greatest life you'll ever build is the one you choose on purpose. Slay reflection. S. See your direction. When in your life have you been reacting instead of choosing? L. Look at your priorities. Do your daily habits reflect what matters most to you? A. Acknowledge the gap. What part of your life has been running on autopilot? Why? Your next step. What is one intentional decision you can make today that your future self will thank you for? Call to action. Join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. What is one area of your life where you have decided to stop living by default and start living with intention? Share your story in the comments. Let's cheer each other on. And if you know someone who might need this reminder, send this to them. Sometimes all we need is a nudge. I'm Carrie Genzel reading a blog from stateofslay.com. Slay on.